One thing I really appreciated that you put in, because what you did was you identified two things that were missing, and you said the two things that are missing for these three groups is one, the rules aren't published,
Yep.
and two, there's not a level playing field.
Yep.
And so you developed, like you said, some equations to kind of help us out of that. Do you want to walk us through those?
Yep. And you just, I've never drawn this analogy, Brian, in any of my interviews or discussions, but you just triggered something in me that I'm going to give you right now for the first time. So when you say the rules aren't published in the rule, whether the playing field is not level, where the rules were published and the playing field were level for these three groups were interesting places. For blacks, it was the arts and professional sports. That's what, and we've killed it.
Yep.
Right. For poor whites, interestingly, it was moonshine running, which we turned into NASCAR. As an example of an economy, or
I never thought of that.
Yeah, an industry that turned into a multi-billion-dollar industry. It was moonshine running. I'm not exaggerating. Moonshine running is what they did in the Appalachian Mountains, and were getting caught and getting killed. And they said this is not sustainable. They flipped it into racing cars on the beach, which turned into racing cars on the track, which turned into NASCAR, which of course now has corporate endorsement and support. And the third group, the Native American Indians, if you want to call it success, have a lock on casinos, which I believe in all of the three of these cases, we're winning the battle but losing the war. So you have a few that have succeeded, a few, but with it did not come a skill set that can be mass produced and mass distributed. And it produced income, but didn't necessarily produce wealth, because wealth is a mindset. It also didn't change, none of these three groups, their success changed the very culture of the group in a way that is sustainable. What I mean by that is that you look at $20 trillion of GDP in this country, and a third is real estate and finance. Okay, I don't see that in any of these three examples. A third is healthcare. I don't see that in any of these three examples. Another almost third are the professions. I really don't see that in any of these. In other words, I'm talking about accountants and lawyers and doctors, and I'm talking about engineers. And then you have sort of miscellaneous that fills out the rest of it. This is all three of these groups are involved in the miscellaneous section. And oddly enough, Brian, I hadn't thought about this. I'm gonna do a special video on this. You just inspired me. It's all entertaining. I hadn't thought about that. All of this is tied.
Now, and it makes sense that entertaining is something where you would have a level playing field, and the rules would be known. We all know what entertains us. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it makes sense.
No, it's fascinating. You helped me this morning to go down deeper into the rabbit hole. I would have gotten here maybe, but this is a first. And I said it here on Motley Fool, but it just shows you how much common sense this book is, and how much. I just love math because it does not have an opinion. We can argue about it, but you're arguing. It's almost like you're hitting your face on my fist. Like, how are you advancing, really? So I would really love for people to have a light bulb to go in their head and go, oh my God, this is something I never thought of before. And it's right. Not he's right. It's right. And we got to do something about this, because this is holding America back by having 80 million, 100 million Americans who are out of the economic system, who are off the playing field. You're holding the whole country back, and we're creating crime, and we're creating dissension. And the folks who stormed the Capitol on January 6th, that was repugnant, and it needs to be prosecuted to the highest standards of the law. And it broke my heart. I also saw 70 years of broken promises, of broken hearts, because the Industrial Revolution walked away from my poor white friends in the 1950s, really, and replaced with nothing. So whether you're black and urban, black and brown, and you're marching for Black Lives Matter and justice reform in the summer of 2020, or you were the mob that stormed the Capitol, first time since 1812 that anybody stormed our Capitol, and those were British troops. This is Americans storming America. This is more dangerous. It's all a protest, right? And it's all a signal that we need a software upgrade, and we need it now.